Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Several weeks ago I had an email that Rene's parents sent to me. Rene used to be one of my students in 6th grade. He's now a senior. And he was going to be getting baptized today on February 18. And they asked if I would come to their church and tell the children's story. I've told children's story at my church many times, but this is definitely a first time I've ever been asked to do this at another church and on such a special occasion. I immediately said yes because I knew already the story that I would tell about Rene. I don't know if you're feeling a little tuckered out like I am, but I had been thinking, what can I do for this week's video? I have several projects and ideas, but I was just feeling a little tired. And on the way home from church, Wonderful Stanley said, I videotaped your story. Let's use it for our video this week. And I was very surprised because I had no idea that he was going to do that. And I said, but won't they just see my back? And he says, no, it's sideways. I think it'll be okay. So I hope that you can just do a little self-care right now, maybe get a beverage and sit back and just enjoy a story about Rene.
Church family, are we blessed today? It is always an honor to worship with you here at Redlands. Thank you. And substitute Ronnie Gazal, wherever you are, that was amazing. Young people, big and small, we are so happy that you are here. And it is my hope and prayer that every single time that you see us, we let you know how very happy we are to see you. Young people who did the music this morning, I can't help but remember your humble beginnings around my piano singing Days of Elijah. It's just, my heart is as full as it could be right now. Now, raise your hand if you are in my class or have been in my class. Jordan is even, look at this. This is beautiful. And there may be some of you who will one day be students of mine, and I look forward to that. That's right, next year maybe, huh? And I bet there are others in the congregation who have passed through time with me. I teach 4th grade now, but for several years I got to teach 6th grade with my good friend, Mrs. Kendall, right over here. And we had so much fun. It wasn't all fun and games, though. We worked really hard. And, we had a different situation than what you children on this side are used to. Because when you go to school, you start with one teacher, and you pretty much stay with that teacher most of the day. But the way we did it, Mrs. Kendall and I, we split the subjects. You remember this. I taught 3 courses, she taught 3 courses. And then at lunchtime, the boys and girls would gather all their belongings and then switch. So we would get a new group, which means you don't have a desk, essentially. You have to take everything with you. You can't leave pencils, water bottles, anything. And you might be wondering, what do you do with all the stuff? Well, see, Redlands has these things called lockers, and maybe you've seen them. And they're called lockers because they do indeed lock. And there's a special combination that only you know. And I have to say, when you get a locker, you kind of feel like a big kid. And Alestia is, yes, you remember this. And on locker day, Mrs. Kendall would usually pass out lockers on the night before school started. It was a big deal. Students would come with bags of things to put in their locker, like shelves. They'd put little magnetic mirrors and inspirational quotes and a little bit of self-care in the middle of your day. When I was in academy, there was a boy that I was in school with named Stanley Matsuda, and he even had carpet on the floor of his locker. And I thought that was pretty slick. I still remember my combination from San Gabriel Academy. I'm going to tell it to you. I'm going to give you the secret. I can't remember any of my other passwords for anything, but this I somehow remember. You ready? It's 6, 26, 38. That's my combination. And, that sounds easy, but it's not. Because you have to turn it right one, look, see, they're doing it. They know. You turn it right one way, and then you have to go left past the 0, Ashley, that's right, and then back right again. It's complicated. And so locker skill takes a while to master. It could take days, some of us weeks. Mrs. Kendall, I need help with my combination, and they'd go to her, and she'd have to, help them. Sometimes Mr. Cherry even had to get involved, but we use the lockers daily. So this morning I'm going to tell you a story about one of our 6th graders. If this were an Uncle Arthur story, it would be called, I think, Rene and his locker. So, Rene was a wonderful student. He got along with everybody. He was a good sport. He had good sportsmanship. He was fun to talk to. He always spent time, getting to know his teachers. He'd come and visit with us when there was time. He was polite, and above all, most importantly, he was kind. But, and funny. I think I forgot to say he was very funny, too. But there was an area, shall we call it a little growth area, that Rene had. And don't we all have growth areas? We do. His was in organization. And, every day he would come to class without anything. Now, pencils and paper were not really a big crisis, because I have loads of those, but it was the books. Mrs. Matsuda, I don't have my science book. Next day, I don't have my math book. I don't have my books. And I would say, Rene, just go share. Share with Dylan, share with Lucas, just share with somebody, and bring your things tomorrow. And he'd politely say, yes, okay, he would. But the next day would come, and he didn't have it. Looking back in hindsight, I think I should have just stopped everything and just flushed out the situation. But let me tell you, 6th graders are not only very smart people, they're busy people. And Mrs. Kendall and I, there's not a lot of time for fleshing things out. They were constantly on the move, and we had to work so hard not only to just keep up with them, but to try to keep a bit ahead of them. So we just went on our way. And then parent-teacher conferences came, and his parents came, and I told them all about Rene and how he was, learning so much and what a joy it was to teach him. And then I did have to bring up, the little area. And, they said, oh, Mrs. Matsuda, we are seeing the same things at home. We are so sorry. Yes, we are going to work on this. We will take care of this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And, we ended that meeting full of hope. All 3 of us, we knew things would change. But they never did. We had a great year anyway. We had so much fun together with Mrs. Kendall and all those plus 40 students of 6th grade. Well, sadly, the last day of school came. And, there's a lot to do on that last day of school, right? You have to clean your desk, but you also have to clean out your locker. Now, imagine a whole year of things that, it's a big job. It's kind of like a closet clean out, essentially. And so Dylan Holoviak was in this class, and his mama had planned a pool party for us all that afternoon. Remember that, Caleb? You remember that? And so we wanted to not be late to this party, so we needed to get on it. And so we went out to the lockers with our bags to clean it out. And Rene came to Mrs. Kendall, and he said, rather sheepishly, Mrs. Kendall, I need the combination to my locker. And she said, what? It's June. Rene goes, I know, I don't remember the combination to my locker. And she's like, I don't understand. And here it is. Mrs. Candle, I haven't opened my locker since the first day of school. Rene. Let's just think about that for a moment. She came to get me. The three of us went to the locker. And now, locker combinations, she had it hidden away. They're top secret, boys and girls. She had this in a file somewhere. Mrs. Kendall had to go digging, get out the combination. We went, opened it up, and there it was. You could hear the music playing. It was everything, Post-its, highlighters, 3x5 cards, all his books. After the initial shock wore off, we started to laugh, and we couldn't stop laughing. We went to Holoviak's house. We went and found Renee's dear parents, and we told them the story. They didn't seem to find it as funny as we did. And I don't know if they are able to laugh about it today. It might still be too soon. But Mrs. Kendall and I are still laughing about that. It remains one of our favorite stories. A few weeks ago, Rene, he still comes to see me, and we were reminiscing about this, and he said, Mrs. Matsuda, I still don't use my locker. I said, what? He said, I carry everything on my back in my backpack. These students here, they're seniors now. They're graduating very soon. I know. And as happy as we are for them and as excited and proud of them as we are, we're filled with sadness because we love them so much. And we're going to miss them. And I want Rene and all of you to know that if you ever forget your combination, it's a metaphor. In addition to your parents, we hope that you will always remember where you can come and who you can call. Happy Sabbath, everyone.
And that's it. Story time with Teacher Deneen. I hope that it's something that you could connect with in some way. Maybe it reminded you of one of your students, or maybe your own locker experience. It's certainly an experience with Rene that Mrs. Kendall and I will never forget. And as I said in the story, it's hard to watch these students grow up and leave us. The seniors came up to the front for Children's Story. So I had one side, the littles, some of my current students and former students, and then even much younger. But then the other entire side was seniors. And I thought, when am I ever going to get to have that experience with those two great age ranges at one time? But I hope that you enjoyed it. And I wonder if that's something you would be interested in hearing from time to time, a Teacher Deneen story. If it is, let me know, and I can do it again. Until we're together again next week, please take care.